Oh, well, welcome. It is, what's the date today?
15th of June.
June 15, 2016.
Yeah. Today's episode, a cry for help.
Cut a little bit off now?
Well, it's just the wrong fucking length. So we've taken a large amount of the hardware off. This isn't a good example because this is a nice big piece. When you get a piece of hardware this big, and there's only 2 screws holding it in, take it off. Because it takes 5 seconds to take it off with a screw gun. In the late 40s, early 50s, there's a lot of iron in boats because all the copper, which is the basis of bronze, was shot up during the TIF, you know.
TIF, but you mean World War II?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
That's how the Egyptians did it. That's how the Romans did it. That's how the Kentuckians do it. Okay, here's the main house window frames. We decided to take them off because they had varnish on them.
Sure.
And we don't know how long they've been on there since the last time they were bedded or anything. And they were pretty dried out behind them. But you can tell if you look close, when the varnish comes down and it starts to peel at this little edge here on the boat, then it's time to pull the hardware so that you can get behind there and what I call scrub the old varnish. In other words, don't just kind of sand it. You want to get that varnish looking really bad. You're scrubbing it with a sanding block with probably as coarse as 150 grit.
But not down to bare wood.
Not to bare wood. But when varnish is old like that, you don't want to just scratch the surface and varnish it because then it's just laying on there. You're making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You want to get down there and not to the wood. And there's always drips and runs from the old varnish work. And so these had some scratching around the edges, which polished out pretty good from sandpaper.
Yeah.
So to take it off or not to take it off? Well, if you don't take it off, then you can't get behind it. And since we can't know how old that bedding compound is behind it, as it turns out it was very old, it was dried out.
Yeah.
And the varnish has to go a little bit behind this to get a really good job. So that's what we've been doing, Clint's been doing in the prep stage. And so we've taken a large amount of the hardware off because, think about the time, to tape this, to sand around it, and to varnish around it. Now this isn't a good example because this is a nice big piece. When you get a piece of hardware this big, and there's only 2 screws holding it in, take it off. Because it takes 5 seconds to take it off with a screw gun.
Now, what about the waterproofing for this window?
Well,
How
it was dried out. So it was getting ready to start leaking. Maybe it already had leaked, I don't know. And so we needed to clean up the hardware, get some varnish behind it, and then rebed it. So that it was a no-brainer to take it out. There's other hardware on the boat that's got the same treatment, or getting the same treatment. Because when varnish or paint gets really old, it's time to really redo it. And you gotta get behind this stuff because water will find its way in there. Well, on this hatch, these hinges and so forth were just covered with varnish. And they were kind of glazed and they had buildup on them. So once again, it was a no-brainer, just take them off and redo them, clean them up. Yeah, like this hardware here. It was very faded and glazed looking. So it just needed some polishing up.
But you didn't take this off?
No, because it's big. See the bedding compound is dried out?
Yeah.
You see this lip that's built up on the varnish?
Yeah.
That's only going to start peeling. And because it's a lip, now water can get behind it. Same here, it's a lip. Quite a lip. So with a screw gun, a couple minutes to get the hardware off, and now you can get in there and scrape that and scrub it really good without all that masking, that time-consuming stuff.
Oh, there he is. Guys. Good morning. Yeah.
Same thing here. Also, these plugs, if you remember, were popping up. These plugs.
Yeah.
There's 3 per side. We had to dig them out.
Oh, you put new plugs in?
Well, they were popping up because, see,
Okay.
smaller plugs don't do that. They'll do it, but not as readily as a larger plug.
Okay.
What the mistake people make with all plugs, but especially the larger ones, is they don't wet out the hole really good. So you dip a large plug in epoxy or glue, you put it in the hole, and this piece of wood sucks the glue out of it. You end up with a dry joint.
Okay.
So like on all the plugs in the hull, we took an acid brush and wet all the holes out
First.
with epoxy. And then you dip the plugs in the epoxy with fibers. So that when you pound it into the hole, it doesn't end up with a dry joint. And that's why those were popping out. We thought they were iron bolts. They're bronze.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
That's very good.
So somebody replaced that sometime. It wasn't original, I don't think.
What's that? This
This piece and the bolts,
hard to know.
hard to know. But it doesn't look,
Why, was there iron originally in some of those pieces?
no, I don't think so. In the early 50s, late 40s, early 50s, there's a lot of iron in boats because all the copper, which is the basis of bronze, was shot up during the tiff, you know. So it was hard to get, even if you could, and it was terribly expensive. So until about 1954 or 5.
The TIFF, but you mean World War II?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And so until the mid 50s or so, it just wasn't available. So you get a lot of really nice boats with iron floors and iron bolts and stuff in them.
All right, perfect. This is late 50s.
Yeah, so they were, I haven't seen the iron in this boat except for a couple screws that some donkey put in a repair somewhere. But
So again, all the hardware here, this is all being sanded out.
yeah, because,
Margin board.
yeah, see, because it's,
I see these lips, obviously.
yep, you know, that little lip there is what will start the varnish peeling. So, and you can see that to tape around all these little pieces, you don't get a good brush stroke, you know. Now you can just sand the whole thing and then come in there. Now there's some you can't take off, like these. We put those on before the deck because they are really a big pain to put on. But they're large, so it's not like a little tiny piece with a couple screws in it. And then that's pretty much it. I mean, the whole boat.
Not the windows, not the portals.
We're still talking about that.
Don't do it. These are new plugs. as
Just
well?
like on the other side.
Okay.
They were popping up like almost an eighth of an
Nice.
inch in places. So
Now, so we're down to wood, pretty. Not too much. Not
just the plug. You start by dribbling a varnish on them and you build it up and then you come back and sand everything out. There's lots of little touch-up varnish like in the margin boards here. And the cabin, of course. You see the paint cracking here. Just old. It's time to do it. It's time to really get in there and scrub that down good and get a good coat of paint on that.
Yeah. What do we have paint for that?
Well, we were talking about that, and it's hard to say in this light, but it looks a lot like that Interlux Hatteras Off-White.
Why don't I call or get in touch with Simon at Wayfair and see if he can tell us what paint that is.
Good idea. And this should probably have in it some very fine walnut shells,
So it has a little bit of
little grip.
skid resistance. Mm-hmm. I mean, do you want to pop them out
No,
and
no.
rebed them, or
No, no,
just
no.
put more sealant on top?
No, we'll scrape this here. You can see that lip again the varnish was creating. We'll scrape this. It's pretty close now.
Yeah, I scraped them with the scraper already.
Yeah.
And so
So-
now it's sanding.
Yeah, so when you varnish, see, you don't even really have to do much masking here. You just varnish down in here and then
Right.
you bed it with dolphinite. Fresh stuff.
So when's that going to start?
It's already started.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, what we're doing is if there's an hour or so to fill in, and he
Right.
can sand and stuff, as soon as we get these shutters in, we're getting there.
Well, that's what we're here to do today.
Well,
Shoot at
we're
least
not
one
going to
shutter going in.
we're not going to do it today. we got a.
That's what I'm here for.
I know, but we had some issues.
Call me.
Well, we have the port side shutters are pre-drilled and ready to go. The starboard side forward shutter is almost ready, it's drilled, but we have to finish fitting and drilling the aft starboard shutter.
So that's what we'll see today.
That's what we'll see today.
Okay.
And yeah. It's in a tough spot down here because of the shower pan.
Great.
I mean, it's doable, you can get to it, but it's time consuming.
Okay, well, let's...
Same old story, time consuming. And then this came out nice, you remember?
Yeah, we saw this already last episode.
But we got some build up on the plugs now.
Yeah, okay, nice.
And the transom's almost ready. We're talking about taking this down to bare wood. That won't take very long.
Is it plywood back there?
Yeah, that way we can soak it with Smiths.
Well, maybe we could keep the transom all wood.
Not plywood, no.
No, doesn't look good enough. You laminate something on it?
Oh no. It looks good painted.
Okay.
You know, you have to. You might want to be able to copy this lettering if you like it.
No, I didn't like it anyway.
Oh, you didn't like it? Okay. Oh, baby, hold it right there. Grab my little. Ready? Mm-hmm. I'm gonna make some noise here. Watch your elbow. Okay, start over again.
Okay, hold on.
Start over.
1,
Yeah, 2, 3.
Cut it a little bit off now.
Well, it's just the wrong length.
So these are the challenges of the shutter plank.
Well, the problem is that there's a bulkhead here, there's a shower pan in there, so we can't really get any clamps on it.
Right.
And so we have to shore it up and use fasteners. See this here, this bare wood?
Yeah.
We had to take that off. When we fitted this back in January,
Gotcha.
we set it aside going, you know what? We better leave that alone because it's going to be sitting a while.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, ready? Yeah. All right, we're going to try to stay away from the butt. Hold it right there. That's good for now. And we're gonna try the big clamp. Oh, I remember the little big clamp didn't fit.
There's a bulkhead right there.
Yeah, that's the problem. See, on the other side it wasn't so bad because we didn't have that shower pan. It wasn't fun, but it wasn't as bad as this one.
Bottom, a little bit. Down low.
Yep, you good?
Yep.
See, these little clamps don't have very much horsepower. Let me get a medium one. See, there's so much shit in the way here. There's cleats and cabinets and stuff. It was, yeah, we'll see how this one works. You got it?
Yeah. It's pulling it away from the edge. You got like, okay, now do it.
Ready?
Right up by the hole.
Okay, now you can shove that post in. It's almost home.
Can you tighten it up?
Yep. One more. Yeah, it's touching the butt blunt, so it's good to drill. See, everything's pretty much drilled now.
Yeah.
Now, I
Wary
can't.
of that there. Bring it back.
This was going to be 2 screws, correct? Yeah, that's a big frame.
Big screws, large frame.
And there was a problem with that screw.
2.5, you're gonna go bigger.
No, remember it hit something, like an old rivet or something. gonna have to re-drill the hole. Battery. Nothing like starting your day with a dead battery. Yeah, that's a big frame and there's no way to get a bolt in there.
Gotcha.
There's a shower pan in the way. Now back here, we have the small frame. These have already been drilled. But now, we want to drill for bolts into the butt block. Whew. They come through all right?
Well, it's under the wedge.
Oh, that's right, yeah. All right.
What's holding this plank in at the tip? You screwed in a couple up front?
Yeah, oh yeah, the front we have a few. The front was easy. See, it's right in here in the belly, all through the whole boat, or any boat, is where you have the most bend. And the front and the stern, there's a little bend in them, but you push them in one hand. So,
Very good. So that's easy now.
no.
You won't take it out again.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you take it out again?
Well, we have to paint the edge, remember?
Oh, the paint the edge.
We had to paint the edge, and because we never had it fully in, I didn't remember that until yesterday. We had them kind of sort of fitted, and that's when we put them aside, because if you put a plank that fits perfectly and you lay it down and temperature and humidity change over the months, it's been 6 months since we put these in. So I remember going, you know what, they're pretty close. When the time comes to install them, we're gonna have a day of shaping and fitting them, which is exactly what happened. Also, the caulking bevels aren't completed yet. There's a little small here, see it? But we've marked that with the date on there yesterday, see? So that we know that those are current marks. From here back, the caulking bevel looks pretty nice. You know, good enough to caulk, which is all we ask. Now, also this plank, if it was in, it would just create problems for fitting the other plank on the butt down here, see?
Right.
Now we're gonna leave it for now. We're thinking about that. Remember, the problem is we couldn't get the bolts in, but because the shower pan's like right here, we might not be able to get them out. There's no room to swing a hammer. So, we need to mark this actual true body. Is this really tight?
It is pretty tight.
Okay, watch
I mean,
it.
I can, you maybe tap on it a little bit because you're going to release that. I know it's going to get
Yeah.
tighter, but let me give it a couple.
Knock this down the post.
Okay, ready?
Yep. Okay, a little more, a little more.
It's just bouncing.
Yeah, knock it down some more. See it stop bouncing. Okay. That's what you want. Okay. It'll come out a little bit, but that's okay. Hopefully it doesn't fly out. All right, now we grab the follower. Just leave this alone. That's all we can do for now. Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
Back?
I think it's good.
Okay.
Hold it right there. I'll get a couple screws in there. See, we didn't countersink the screws all the way because you don't want to be digging those out. Whew. It's a miracle. Chinese screws. Oh, hold on.
Tappage.
Bangage. Mind your way.
No, I don't think so. I think you're good. It's like it's tight.
It's bouncing. Okay, time for the stand. Yeah, see that was, it's all coming back to me now.
Plus paint. Painted these twice.
Yeah. Okay. See how that loosened?
Yeah.
This one actually is almost ready to go in so far.
Now, in a previous episode, you said you don't want to see people banging these things in too hard.
No. That's why we're not gonna. All right. See, the paint will mark it, the tight spots.
Okay.
But since it's been a while since we did these, it's trying to refresh my memory. Okay. You hear how solid that is? I mean, it's up against the frames. There you go. Boom.
Leather plank.
You might get lucky on this one. All right. Yeah, go ahead and start bending her in and see what happens. Oh, that looks really swell. Hang on. You good?
Yeah, I'm going
Okay. Oh, cool. Yeah. Tight right here. Tight, too tight there. Bounce in here. Having fun yet? How's the butt?
It's kind of sticky. I don't know. I can't tell if it's the end.
Okay, let me look. Oh, looks really nice.
It feels like it's the top.
Okay, hang on. Let's see here. Ah, where's the big frames?
Small frame.
Okay,
Small frame. Floor timber.
big frame.
Big frame. Floor timber.
Okay, take it
There's
in.
that one you were looking at. There's a bolt going across. Kind of in the middle.
Okay, take it back in.
Ready?
Yep. Okay. This is only, the screw's only gonna act kind of like a temporary clamp.
Ready?
Waxed. Always waxing. Okay, now you can relax a little bit. Ooh. So, basically what we're doing right now is marking it. For the most part, from that stand back, it looks pretty good. It's a nice fit, it's not crazy tight. Good back there. All the way back is good.
Top and bottom, or just top? Just top. When you fit it.
Well, it's marking itself. You ready, Clint?
Gotcha.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm only beating on it now to mark it. So, that was more fun than we should have.
Now, is that the mark we see right there?
It's part
This
of it.
kind of brown. The paint's been peeled back a little bit.
Well, what you'll see in the right light, you'll see shiny, smooth areas.
Gotcha.
Those got to go. It
Gotcha.
won't go in. I mean, you could beat this plank in right now. You don't want to do that. Really good. Operating table. All right.
The shiny spots that we see.
Down here a little bit. See them?
Come this way. That's the shiny spot. Oh, it's very shiny. Now they seem mostly on the inside, but that's you still take it down both all the way across, right?
No, this has a caulking bevel in it,
Ah, right.
so it'll never touch there,
Gotcha.
or at least it better not. So this is essentially square to this surface, the inside surface. But,
American. All right. So what else needs to be done on this particular
well, we're going to look at the bottom side now for shiny spots.
shiny stuff?
And there, indeed, we have some. Fancy that. Now, there will be more coming up, see, because as it moves in,
Touches at different places.
yeah, see, it's really a nice fit. It's just too tight.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
That's what you always want to hear, right?
We want to keep this pretty consistent, but there's no way to really know until you bang it in again.
Will you paint it again as well?
Yes, sir. In fact, one of the things you do is, if you can, is an hour or so before you put it in, you paint it. You put it in with the paint still wet.
The orange paint.
Yeah. See where I'm going with that?
Yeah.
Lubricate.
Acts as a-
Lubricant.
Okay.
Now, sometimes your daily schedule doesn't allow those ideal circumstances, but that's what you try to shoot for if you can.
was just saying this time he's going to put the butt in first, and what's the theory there? Any?
Well, from here back, it fits nice.
Okay, we need to check that.
And we can't really get a true reading on the butt while we're straining to get it in. So rather than strain to get it in, we will fit it first. See, we fit these before, this is kind of how we did it, but we didn't try to really get them complete. Okay. Hang on.
That fits so much better than before.
Oh yeah. I do need to get one more screw in though before this thing pops out. Look okay back there?
Yeah.
No, you can let that hang. We know we're good back there. Once we get this dog in here, looks like the bottom needs to go in. Whew. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I think we're done except for right here. I'm gonna try a screw here, and that should tell us the rest of the story. Grab a couple more screws. All right, let's see what this does. Well, we've already got a termite. Yep. So this will go in right here, but it's just a little too tight for, there's no reason to have it that tight.
Okay.
Because it'll swell up. But it's close enough, so we can mark our final. Everything is in quotes these days. Caulking bevel.
You can drill the butt too, also, huh?
Yeah.
So you
Oh,
can-
we'll
right
drill-
now you can drill all the holes, right?
Yeah, see, it's close enough now you can drill the holes.
Right.
So no use taking it down, putting it, because we know it's going to go in the next time. But having said that, I'm going to put a couple screws back
Yeah, I
here
was gonna say.
because we have to drill it now. Now that we know it's going to go in, we can proceed with great vigor.
Time it took me to go get some sandwiches. We got all these drilled out. So you got it all drilled out, huh?
Not quite. Another. We're at the part where it's hard to get around inside there.
And does that make it hard to drill, or is it hard to feed the bolt through?
Well, some of it's impossible to drill from the inside.
Oh, from the inside.
That's why we had to jig this here, see?
Tell us what's going on here.
Well, okay, there's, where are we here? The battery box is right here inside the boat.
Okay.
We put a big hole in the bottom for ventilation and access, but you can't get a drill in there. So before we put this plank up, we use this jig to mark on these planks the distance down to the hole, see it? And the alignment of the hole.
Okay.
This works on all the holes, it doesn't change.
The relationship doesn't change.
No. See the distance?
Okay.
So we drill these and they come out in the holes on the inside. Because you can't drill some of these from the inside, there's just no room.
But don't you drill most of these from the outside in?
Oh no, no. because we have to hit the old holes in the old
Oh,
frames.
gotcha. That's right.
Now some of them, if there's a new sister frame or something, we can drill them out here. Clint,
I see. Okay.
these last 3 holes you drilled,
Yeah.
what's up with the frame in front of that?
One of the bulkhead.
That's-
The ones I just drilled.
yeah, just forward of that one. Is it?
What does it say on there?
It just says bolt, extra long.
Okay, I'm gonna try to drill out here.
But you know what? I think on the other side we put screws there.
Okay.
Let's do that here.
Okay, no worries.
Because it's hard to hit those holes and it's not worthwhile. So I'll drill for screws there. We jigged it first
Jigged it first.
before this plank went on, using that little plywood jig to make these marks up here. See? In other words, with this plank off, we put this here and eyeballed the hole,
Okay.
made that line, and then put a vertical line, and that's where the center of the hole is on the frame inside there.
Okay.
We've had to do that in many places on this boat. Now, some of them, because you can't see where the hole is. Okay, I'm gonna do a couple screws here. Oh,
These will both come down one last time to be painted
yep.
and then installed fine for the final.
Yeah, and we have to put glue on the butt block and so forth. And because they're below the water line,
Yeah.
we like to bed the ends here in the stem and back in the horn timber. Like to bed those in tar.
Okay. Just the ends?
Just the ends. Okay, now we will show you the jigging process. The last one on the boat. Okay, you see our mark here? There's 2 lines. One's about the height. You line that up, you make a line on the plank. You line this line up. Wow, why is that in the middle of the plank?
Now,
Did-
so
did it-
is
did
that
it-
because when the plank was gone, you measured the distance with that same thing
Yep.
and then made the mark on the top?
Yep.
Okay.
Clint? Where was that
Let me see
hole?
let me see the thing again. Oh, that's it. Boom.
Where was that hole in relation to the frame?
Let me go up and look. It's
So where I'm about to drill this hole is a sister frame?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, what's going on in the little frame behind it?
It's got a bronze strap on it.
Okay, but it's okay, all right. Fuck.
You're good, right?
Yep.
All right, we're talking caulking bevel. Looks like Doug's got 4 or 5 already in here.
6.
6,
Do we want to tell people how to do this?
That's up to you. Is it
Sure.
trade secret?
No, well, no, it's not a. The problem with caulking is that nobody knows how to do it anymore. I shouldn't say nobody, but very few people. They've kind of lost the skill.
Well, it's because they can't get such a nice chair to work in.
That's part of it. Please note, both knees still working. Shoulders not, but the knees are.
Right.
Okay, caulking seams, irons. With these 2 irons, you can basically caulk most boats. But you remember we talked about the seams being small?
Okay.
It's only made a little bit over 1/8 or so. Some of them are smaller. That's because this caulking iron will fit. Hey, where's that other one?
Oh, I was getting your caulking melon.
Yeah. I'm afraid not. That wider one, Clint,
I'll get it.
the 1/0, it's the same as this, it's just wider. See how that goes in a hole about 1/2 inch?
Yeah.
And our caulking bevel's about 5/8.
Okay.
You see where I'm going with that?
It just snugs in there perfectly.
Well, in other words, this fits in these seams about 1/2 inch deep. And our caulking bevels, we try to keep them about
This is the other one that was there.
5/8 or a little more. See? See?
Okay.
Okay. And that's why you make small seams, because they don't have to be big.
If you have the right tools.
Well, you just need a number 5 plane to make the caulking bevel. But you don't want to make those on a boat like this with 1.25" planking. You want the caulking bevel to be about 1/8 of an inch. It can be a little less, it can be a little more. Because they don't have to be any bigger. But also, if they're small out here,
Yeah.
and they go in 5/8 or so, depending on the thickness of the planking, that means that angle is very low, see? So an 1/8 inch seam has a very low angle, like a wedge. That seam was, I've seen them 1/4, 3/8 or bigger on boats this size. That's a very low angle, it's like that.
Okay.
So there, where's the cotton gonna go? Out.
Gotcha.
But it's like this, it gets trapped in there. Can't crawl, as they call it. Now, on the cotton itself, it's a 1/2 strand.
That's a 1/2 strand.
They come in what we call a strand. Grab a freshman, Clint. And this is Bristol cotton. Little advertisement there.
Okay. That's a brand name or a type?
Yeah. When you get it from the cotton plant,
It looks like a Rasta.
yeah, you can do dreads with these. This is what they call a full strand. See how fat that is?
Yeah.
Okay, so what you do, because we have small caulking seams, it comes where you can split it quite easily by hand. Just go like this. See that?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty much right in half.
Then when you're done splitting it, you roll it. That's mainly to get rid of all the little hairs and stuff sticking out, and to give it a more solid body so that you can control it going into the seam. A while back they had some guys caulking with little ropes, and I saw that and I went, what could go wrong with that? They were like little ropes.
Almost like little shoestrings.
Well, like twine, but little 3-stranded looking stuff. I don't know. So anyway, this is the old way of doing it, and it's the only way you can do it because it works. All right, so that's what we have. We call this a 1/2 strand.
Okay.
Now some of our seams, we split it even further into a 1/4 strand if it's too tight. You can control how much cotton you put in the seam by the length of the loop. Show you. Being right-handed, I start here and I go that way.
Okay.
Clint is left-handed, you gotta start up there.
Perfect.
Well, back in the day, they used to have, back in Detroit when they had the assembly lines,
Right.
they'd advertise for left-handed people. Because the car would come through the line and they were putting the door on, it's like, seriously, try that now.
You could train somebody to be left-handed.
Yeah, but imagine nowadays you should wanted left-handed people. They'd go, you can't do that. So basically you give it a little twist here. Every time you do a tuck, you twist it a little. Leave a little tail sticking out, always longer than you're gonna need because you can break it off. And you see this finger here?
Yeah.
Do a little twist, and start it in there. That's a pretty small seam, so see how big these tucks are?
Yeah.
Like 2.5 inches.
Okay.
The longer the tuck, the less cotton you're going to put in there. So you can control the amount of cotton in 2 ways, by splitting it and by the size of the tuck.
And the tuck is the distance between these points that you're putting.
Exactly.
And that's just a way of kind of stretching it.
Yep. You give it a little twist so it stays together while you're knocking it in. And when you're trying to caulk down at the harbor and the wind's blowing,
Yeah.
it's exciting because this little becomes a playful cobra, and it's just maddening. So you usually do your caulking early in the morning before the wind comes up. How can we come to work so early? Because the wind isn't blowing. Once the wind starts, you can move along pretty fast. Whoop.
Just a couple of inches between
Yeah.
big tucks.
Now see that the seam's kind of narrow here, which is typical down the bottom because these are the seams that get the most abused. Notice how we haven't caulked the garboard yet?
Okay.
See that? That's the one that drives everybody crazy. The boat starts leaking, they go, you gotta caulk the starboard or the garboard seams.
Right.
Yeah, everybody says, you're right, the garboard seams. When it's the bolts that go through the keel and the 4-foot joint that's moving.
Right.
In this boat, the floor timbers that weren't bolted. But everybody, including this boat, they just bang the cotton in there. You can see it. Bam, bam.
So just treat it like any other seam.
Yeah, exactly. No, because you see this wood here, this mass of wood. See those gaps? Those weren't there when the boat came in.
Okay. Yeah.
That
dry
big
it out.
chunk of wood, it's going to take a while, but when it swells up, it swells in every direction, including up. You got the rabbit in here is really big in here. That's going to swell. The plank's going to swell. These planks are going to start pushing down on the garboard. So when you drive cotton in hard, you're basically driving a wedge. When that plank starts to swell, it cuts into that cotton and compresses the grain across the grain. And so it's like a sponge. If you squeeze it, the sponge won't take any more water. If you release it, it'll absorb water. So there's no reason to beat that stuff in there. And as Clint found out, a caulking mallet produces quite a bit of force. That's why they're designed that way. And you don't have to swing it like a hammer.
And on top of that, you're just pushing cotton into a seam.
Well, it's a
Not
little,
driving a metal wedge.
yeah, and it's you don't want to wedge them apart. Okay, like that. And then I usually do 2 or 3 seams up to this point.
Okay. I mean, just get them tucked.
Yeah.
Don't then bury them, then go back
Yeah.
and bury them.
But for the sake of this, we'll do a little caulk.
Yes, for demonstration.
You just start back here.
So you,
Huh?
what was that other mallet you brought?
That was a joke. It just looked
No,
like a
it's-
giant caulking mallet.
Actually, we use that a lot up forward to drive big bolts out. Okay, so all this does is this right here. There's none of this. The way this is designed, the kinetic energy that's stored up in this, it puts a lot of force on this iron. It's the same reason an arrow will go 10 times as deep into water as a bullet, even though the bullet's going 10 times as fast, because the arrow has a long area of stored energy. So when this thing starts to move, like a railroad mallet, they're long and skinny like this. Because if you're swinging that thing all day, you basically watch them. They set the spike and they bring the mallet up. They almost just drop it. They're not sitting there like this. A sledgehammer, you have to go like this because it's got a short, fat head. And it doesn't have that design.
Okay.
So a railroad mallet looks a lot like this, only it's solid steel. Anyway, so the second step is you come in here and everything is held lightly in your hands, right?
Yeah.
Guns, golf, and guitars.
Okay.
No death grip. That way that you can feel the seam, and this thing follows that seam that we made. It's just right for this iron, see it?
Okay.
Okay, so then you come by, you can move quite a bit. See the mallet? I'm hardly swinging this thing.
Yeah.
I'm rocking it with my wrist. Whoops, slippery. I'm not myself today. And then once you do this is called starting it. You see how it's, now you can see the seam.
Yeah.
You see how that's got a slightest curve in it?
Okay.
So what you're doing is you're rocking it as you go, so this doesn't dig into the cotton. Then you come back to set it. Make sure that corner's in there nice. And see a little tail is left.
Okay.
So when you caulk this seam, that's tucked behind the strand. And a tiny bit. These are much bigger than they need to be, but you can always break them off. Now you come back in to set it. Hear the different sound? Hear it? See, Stevie Wonder could do this.
Because you can tell when it's all the way
You
in.
can tell by the sound of the feel. You know, you don't need to be wondering where you're going with it. Hear that? Sounds like I'm hitting wood.
Yeah.
That cotton's done. Don't sit there and bang on it. You're done. Hear it? That's how the Egyptians did it. That's how the Romans did it. That's how the Kentuckians do it. That's it.
All right, very nice.
Now, the next step in this, by the way, is, you got that?
Yeah.
Still. You see the paint?
Yeah.
This is red lead substitute. You can't get the real stuff anymore. You can use that, or you can use bottom paint below the waterline. You thin it almost 50%. And you cut your own little brush so it's really thin. You soak that cotton. When that paint dries, that cotton's essentially glued in. If you tried to get that cotton out now, you'd be cursing. It's in there.
Okay.
And then it's the same old thing. We're talking about if he's got an hour, can't watch paint dry, so we can roll some more cotton, split some more cotton, or paint some more seams. Now pretty soon when we get a lot of seams done, you go, okay, now we can start putting the tar in. The
Tar
longer
goes on top of this now?
to fill the seam below the waterline. And all this is Henry's roofing tar. And
And how do you just put it in there, just with a,
it comes in a tube like a caulking gun.
okay.
Just
More
like
caulking.
more caulking.
And again, then scraping it off and squeezing it in there.
Same exact thing as we did on the
Like we
deck.
did on the deck.
Yep. And you just leave it. The longer it could sit for 10 years out of the water. The tar in these seams.
Yeah. But once you tar it, and before you paint it, you sand it off, or
Yeah, you just scrape off the excess.
right?
Well, before we tar it, in fact, before we do too much more caulking, we're going to finish fairing the hull below the waterline, which includes the new 4-foot and stem area.
Okay. Well, very good. Well, we're gonna be back up in 2 weeks.
Roger that.
We should see.
Got to get these plugs in.
Oh, by the way, if you want to zoom in on this,
Yeah.
here's another thing about small seam. See how uniform the depth is?
Yeah.
Okay? So we're not sitting there putting a ton of goop in there to try to keep. This boat would float right now if we didn't put any tar in there. It would leak for a while.
Right. So, well, that's good. The tar is extra, even extra. Now, what about this seam here? This gets also caulked,
Yep, that's get done. When all these little tails around here,
right?
then we do this one all the way up the horn timber.
And covering those two.
And those get tucked in.
Right.
They're too big right now, but
Beautiful.
you want to. One of the reasons you leave them sticking out is from many feet away you can see where you ended up.
So what about the through hulls?
Yeah, those are what are those? Cockpit drains?
I think that port starboard.
Yeah, and down here we have this is engine intake. I think that's water maker intake. Okay. And up here, this is galley sink drain. Knot meter. Okay, now you see on this particular one here, this hole is about 50% or bigger than the plank's width. So we glued a butt block behind it.
Okay.
Now, if this had been a bronze through hole, you could go either way. But it's a plastic through hole.
Okay.
See, a bronze through hole, when you put it on here, there's a big flange. On the inside, there's a big nut. So basically, you're putting a bolt that big around in the plank. But this was plastic. And we violated 50% of the plank's width. It's probably would be okay because up here, the planks hardly have any bend or twist. But it's just good
Why
practice.
not? Put the butt block in.
Exactly. So there you go.
Great.
That's what that's all about.
Strong.
And this is the foredeck washdown. There's the pump for it, I believe. Over here, head intake, I believe. Or are we on the boat here? Yeah, here's the head intake, sink drain, sump pump, I believe. The head exhaust is going to go on the other side of the boat.
Okay. Right, not
It's
next to the
not-
intake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not right behind it like that.
And back here, we have the engine exhaust.
Yeah, straight up to this guy.
Now you see how thick the hull looks there?
Yeah.
That's because a year and a half ago,
I know we put that block in.
we laminated that big block. It goes from frame to frame and all the way up onto this plank about an inch and all the way down onto this plank about an inch. So there's this massive butt block in there that was laminated
Yeah, and curved.
and twisted
Yeah.
because the hull goes like that.
Yeah.
A year and a half ago we did that.
There we go.
And back here, cockpit drain, I think. And then up here, on either side, there's a bilge pump.
Something else up there.
It comes out in the counter above the water line,
Okay.
the bilge pump. Both the 3500 electric and the manual.
All right. Well, you don't quite see the shutter plank in on this side, but we do see it installed on the port side. Starboard side.
It'll be in. Today's Wednesday. Yeah, we'll wrap these shutters up probably tomorrow, Charlie. We got a little painting today, and they're all pre-drilled, so historically, they only take about an hour to put in historically once they're drilled.
If I can, I'll try to come back up.
Will you?
See how it looks. All right.
Oh, I'm gonna take this off. Can we?
Say goodbye. See you next time
Goodbye.
on Restoring Susanna.
Almost ready for the tsunami.